Alright, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here, of course, for Haikyuu, episode 13. Yes. And the rivalry between Nekoma and Karasuno is still underway.
Yeah.
So, let's see what's going to be involved in this episode's match.
Right, because they finished the first round.
Yeah, with the first round being basically a bit of Hinata being shut down primarily by their blockers and such.
But that comeback at the end?
That comeback in the end doesn't necessarily need to happen. I think the point of this match in particular is showing how a good team works together and how good players can work into a team. So these players within Karasuno all kind of have their shtick individually and stuff. But the synergy that they have is not spread amongst the entire team yet.
Right.
And maybe they can learn from Nekoma by losing.
Yes. I think they're going to lose too. The thing that I'm excited to see is how it shows in the game as it is progressing, them basically learning from the other team.
Yeah, exactly. Also, potentially them making friends with some of the players in the other team based on the interactions that happen within the game.
Right.
All right. So without further ado, let's get into this episode and see what happens.
That's right.
Daichi. Dang. Nice block. Jeez.
But that libero.
Holy crow. Crow.
Yeah. I like it, yeah. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Maybe.
Normal quick sets instead of freak quick sets.
Well, that's the difference between consistency, though.
Right. Okay.
That's actually really clever. So wait, he hit it onto them intentionally so that it would get knocked out by them, and since they last touched it, it went out of bounds. That's pretty clever.
Huh.
Yeah. And yes! Nice. Good job.
All right.
Nice, Hinata! Woo!
Oh boy.
They swapped it. Comb head. Yeah, he is.
Shrimpy. Oh boy. The zoomy one, not the floating one.
Right.
Right, because this guy's probably coming here precisely because he'll be able to adjust to it.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Yep.
I think Kuro is gonna do something crazy.
Are they gonna do like a? Oh dang. What?
Whoa. Oh. Oh, save it. Oh, chance ball. Okay.
Yeah.
They get to do it again. Whoa.
All right.
Whoa.
Oh, that's dirty. Oh, according to Kakaku.
Oh my gosh. I love this. Okay. Nice, Tsukishima.
Yeah.
Whoa, the gap keeps closing.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it gets intense. Yep. Faked. Faked so hard.
Wow, that's rough. So now they need to get 3 points in a row.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Okay. All right, that
They're
was
trying
cool.
their own fake.
Yeah.
That was Daichi. No, it was Asahi coming in.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, chance ball.
Oh.
Whoa.
Okay.
Jeez, this is intense.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not over till it's over.
Oh. Oh,
He's ready.
his aura.
Yeah.
Oh. Right, he doesn't need to say anything.
Uh-huh.
Oh my
Is he
god.
gonna do the... He's gonna do the angled spike, isn't he?
Yep. Yep. Yo! Dude!
Yes!
Oh wait, no way. Oh my gosh, they're keeping it up.
No way.
No way. Oh my gosh! What the heck?
All right. I love it. It's true. No.
Wow. What a game. That's good. That's good. We can learn from the mistakes. Another game?
All right. I love it.
Proper tired now.
Mm-hmm.
Ah!
Ah, that is amazing.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Exactly. Let's meet again in the future.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. The battle at the garbage dump. City boy, come on. You're pretty good. Oh, you're lady manager! Yes! Yes! I'm gonna rub your fuzzy head sock. They understand each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Kyoko-san. Oh my god! Wow. This is amazing. Like, I did not expect this. What was that? That's great. Zoom! Bam! Yes! Yes! This is what I wanted to see!
He's just like,
right?
I cannot believe
Tsukisha was like, I do not understand that. Yeah. Look like a kid and his dad! Yes! Looks more like a kidnapper to me. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Right?
Well, that's his style.
It's like, I heard that. Oh, that's a good point.
Yep.
That's like real life stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're passionate, but even if you're awkwardly passionate,
right,
people will be inspired by that all the same. 3 matches.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh! Oh!
That's a compliment.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Oh my gosh. He got the fangs and everything. What? Oh my gosh! What is that? Yes! Yeah, here we go. One or the other. Right. Oh, okay. Thanks.
Whoa, actually expressing, like, any sort of desire or emotion. That was such a fun episode.
That was really fun. Oh my gosh. So they had it be the good kind of ending.
Yes.
Kind of just battle it
right.
out. You know,
even though they didn't have it actually go for the third set, which I thought was a good choice because it's not what like you might have expected since they set it up to be this like rival battle and stuff. You think it would be more like on the wire.
Right. But because this is a point where they're still learning how to be a team together, I think it's important for them to lose because you learn a lot more from your mistakes than your victories.
Exactly.
And basically Karasuno as a team has all this kind of main characters in there, so there's potential, but right now they need to develop just as much as the team needs to develop.
Yes.
So as we get more and more of the team being better, we'll get more and more character depth. I feel like that's the formula with Haikyuu, if anything. It's not necessarily going to be a formula of a stereotypical kind of good guys always pulling through at the last minute to win, no matter what. It's the idea that the show focuses on what will develop the characters and strengthen them as characters, not just within their own person, but as their skills with volleyball.
If anything, the pattern that Haikyuu has been doing so far is always having them have a part where they get close or they do something like having some element of being close, but not actually like like winning.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
whether it's like learning how to do a new spike, or almost like getting to just the deuce. Even they didn't even get there, but they almost got to the point where they had a chance to go another set.
You realize deuce was reference to the fact that they would lose in 2 sets, right? That's what that means.
Oh, I thought that was when both sides needed a point to win the set.
Oh, that might be it too. You're right.
But
would they basically be tied up?
Right. Yeah. But that I think it's really cool that they do that, because that helps. At least for me, it helps me get into the actual game a lot more. Yep. Because there will be these high energy moments where even though they don't win, and that helps you value them, right? Because it makes it feel more real. There will still be that sense of like accomplishment and victory on a smaller scale.
On a much smaller scale. And that's good stuff because that shows incremental progression rather than just, I would say, no pun intended, spikes in progression, basically, where it just kind of jumps out of nowhere. But the idea that Hinata and Kageyama were used as the backbone of this team's offense through the beginning, and they had a little bit of success there until the other team adapted. Once they started to adapt as well and utilize their whole team, which is kind of what the other team was doing, they actually started to do much better. I liked how there were multiple times where different people would set and different people would spike. You notice that, like, freaking Noya, he set up a spike for Asahi at one point.
Right.
There was a point in which Daichi came in to save a point and spike it. There were a lot of times where Asahi and Tanaka would do a fake out, and one of them would do the spike, whereas one of the others wouldn't. As I'm getting into this show more and more, I can see actually how volleyball as a sport is a lot more complex and a lot more about the timing and kind of the mind games you play with the people on the other side.
Yeah, the mind games especially. They went into that a lot this episode.
Also because of how mirrored it is, like basically they had kind of the joke of that. Every character had their mirror on the other team.
Exactly.
What you end up having is these little mini rivalry competitions where you might not even interact with, like, you're the libero, you might not ever interact with the other libero. But every time they make that awesome receive, you're like, oh, no, I got to play better.
Right.
So what that does is it basically adds to the tension on the player level, not just at the team level, because they're competing against someone on the other side, not necessarily against the whole team individually. Right.
One other thing I want to point out that I thought was really cool about how they made, because their libero seemed to almost be better than Nishinoya.
I think so, yeah.
And one of the reasons that I think that's so cool that they did that is that usually you can tell someone's skill level by how much they look like a K-pop star or how unique their hair is, right? In anime. Like, hey, I mean, come on. And then, of course, Saitama being the epitome of that because he's a shiny cue ball. But they didn't do that here. Because a lot of the character designs of the people on the other team were very simplistic, yet it's like, okay, just because these people obviously aren't like the main characters, that doesn't mean they're going to get walked over by the people that are the main characters.
Okay.
I know it seems like a silly thing, but it's just like, okay, yes, just because these people are the team we're following, that doesn't mean they're going to win.
I feel like I need to be like Daichi in the background and be like, good commentary, you know? Even though I don't fully understand it.
It's the little things.
Sure, okay. So I'm not as much of an anime, like, avid watcher. Like, I haven't watched as much stuff, so I don't know necessarily what you're talking about. But with the idea of having every player have their rival in particular, it brings up the point of the episode being called Rival. They all had their person that was their rival, but what they got into at the end of it was how each person on the other team actually found a way to connect with the other person, even if they had some kind of a rivalry going on. It's the idea that in sports, when you have a rival, it's almost like having a best friend, because you have someone that you're constantly aware of, you're constantly kind of thinking about, and then when you actually do spend time with them, so to speak, it's very intensive, and you're taking a lot of effort to make sure that time is well spent, essentially.
Right.
The fact that the coach longed for a rival like Karasuno is something just kind of special, because it makes it actually a little bit emotional, because you wonder, wait, so for a time they basically were playing the game but never had that same enthusiastic energy matchup with someone. It was basically this thing where they were like Kenma, and Kenma was kind of the representation of their team. Low energy, kind of just kind of quick reflexes. We win pretty,
but whatever,
pretty distinctively. But if we don't, then we lose and we just walk away. But with Karasuno, it got them fired up. And one of the things that you'll note when you play sports, any sport really, is that you can tell when the team is fired up, and there's all these non-variables working in your favor that you can't really quantify. And suddenly it's like, wait, our team's doing a lot better because we're just starting to get more excited. That's legit. That's a real thing. And I love them showing it be a thing where each team gets excited because they're playing against another team that gets them excited. Yeah. So it's cool stuff.
Yeah, I know, a lot, the rival thing can be applied not just to sports, but to just about anything.
Right.
I know for myself, this is a bit different, but one of the things that I had always wanted, growing up, whenever I would be working on stories and stuff like that, is someone that I would be able to basically that would have a similar passion for stories and making stories and stuff like that, and because it really does help, even if they're doing something completely different than you, or even in opposition to you, right? Yeah. If you do end up having it be some sort of contest or whatever, I don't know, but just the fact that you're focusing on someone else who is also pushing themselves.
Right.
That causes you to push yourself too.
And it's not even that you're wholly devoting your focus to them. It's the idea that when your focus gets pushed to them, it pushes your focus back on developing yourself so that you grow. So when you see kind of two horses pulling it's an analogy of the horse pulling the carriage can pull, a ton. But 2 horses pulling a carriage can pull 5 tons. Right. The idea that there's this compounding effect when you go at something together, and it's not necessarily just your team; it's the people that you're running in the same direction parallel with. And I think that's something that in sports is very unique, because oftentimes rivalries are antagonistic. But if you think about it in a sports standpoint, you're actually both going towards the same goal of winning.
Right, and just general self-improvement.
And general self-improvement, that's the point. Both winning and general self-improvement don't necessarily end up being specifically antagonistic.
Right.
It's the idea that beating the other team, that's antagonistic. Yes. The idea of undermining Kageyama and Hinata's quick attack, that's antagonistic. But the idea of winning the game, that's different.
Yeah, they can all agree on that.
Yeah, and that's a thing where you could have that very hilariously awkward, funny scene between Tanaka and Yamamoto, I think.
I think so.
I don't know if that was his first or last name, but yeah. Them having that part where they're talking about the female manager, Himiko. No. Kyoko.
Or
I think I mixed
Kyoko?
up Toga's name and Kyoko's name. But yeah. It's Shimizu Kyoko, yeah.
Shimizu
Kyoko-san. Yeah, and the idea that was maybe the reason why he was particularly fired up, because remember the coach was like, I wonder why Yamamoto's so fired up. It's maybe because they have someone on the other team that's the same way, or maybe he was trying to show off and impress the manager on Karasuno's team, and that kind of little stuff is fun because it kind of rips you out of the idea that these are like adults. I think one of the things that anime does sometimes is you sometimes forget that you're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-olds,
especially when you have character models like Asahi and like Daichi, where it's like, are they like 25?
Yeah, exactly. Asahi in particular looks a lot older.
Yeah,
but then you had even some of the characters on the other team like Kuro, and the only thing that really makes him look younger is the idea that his hair is very much a younger guy's style.
Yes.
But he could be 20 or something for all I know. But when But when Yamamoto freaks out about just talking, to her, oh my gosh, that's so hilarious.
I absolutely loved Tanaka's line of like, "Don't worry, once you work up the courage to talk to her, even if she ignores you,
it's still pretty good." And they're both like, oh man, I don't even have that courage. It's fantastic stuff because it's purely for comedy, but you could see how they used something that could have been just comedy in and of itself as actually a means to connect the two characters together afterwards.
Yes, and I love how afterwards they're like crying as they're like.
It's like, I'll beat you next time. Yeah, I'll beat you too. Stuff like that. It is really good. But then they showed kind of the similarities and also the differences between other characters as well. Like Sugawara and their Libero were very similar. And they kind of had this like, oh, calm down, guys. It's just a game, okay?
Right.
And then you had...
Kageyama
Hinata's little bit where he was
basically
having that little bit of energy exchange of them just going like,
whoa,
you're like
high.
Boom and zwat and glot, and then they're using the same words. But then of course Kageyama like studying in like a very
that was just so good
in a very muttering kind of just
it's like a dark Deku.
It was like a dark Deku. That's true. Like, and Ken was like, oh my god, too intense, and he just like, I'm out of here.
I'm just gonna go somewhere else.
Kageyama was like, maybe he heard me.
Oh boy.
I love that stuff. But the idea that Ukai, the coach,
the older coach?
The younger coach, is now basically like in on this.
He's awakened his inner demon of volleyball coaching.
Right, because of this game. I think is a good thing to bring up because they could have just had it be a thing where, oh, he's just going to play. He's like, well, you guys are a good team or what have you. But they actually made it be a motivational goal thing that he has. And one of the things I think Haikyuu just does really well, even though certain characters like Tsukishima haven't gotten their depth yet in particular, you can tell that each character has their goal. And not necessarily their goal, kind of their motivation.
Right.
Their little thing that gives them their spark to keep playing volleyball.
That fighting spirit.
Sure, but they counteracted it in this episode by bringing up Kenma again and how he doesn't necessarily have one, but based on the flashbacks we saw previously, it's the idea that Kuro brings him here to the game. And if you think about it, the coach on the other team kind of brought the young Ukai into the game of volleyball again.
That's true.
In this game.
He also brought the whole other team to, or I guess they went to them, but...
but he brought them up to their level, so to speak. He's like, hey, if you're going to play against a real team like us, you're going to need to start coordinating like a team. And they did a little bit towards the end. Of course, it wasn't enough.
Right.
But that energy of them basically just kind of against each other, that friction, was basically the reason why Hinata instigated 2 more matches at the end. And then he's so crazy. He's just like, one more. And they're like, oh, what is wrong with you? And I gotta say, that
happens.
Part, no, like that happens, but specifically with me, that is me 100%. When I get involved with like a frisbee like team and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, that was a great game. And I'm like, at the end, I'm like, scrimmage, practice match. Like, we played a game, yes, but let's go again.
Yeah.
And, like, if I get the energy up enough, some of them will go, yeah, why not? Let's do that. But I really identify with that aspect of Hinata's personality, where he always wants to be on the court. He'll do anything he can to be on the court, playing on the court. Like, he would rather be playing on the court than practicing on the court. So, if he can get the other team to be on there and play with them as well, that's a win.
Right.
That's a win for him. So I feel like this was a huge step in the right direction for a lot of the characters. But Hinata and Kageyama, I noticed they also did a lot of kind of critique on each other's stuff and things that. Specifically from Kageyama to Hinata, of
right?
course.
Because Kageyama has the know-how, whereas Hinata has more of the energy.
But they responded to each other. It wasn't a thing of one of them reeling back.
Right, it's not just like some lecture or something like that. It's like, okay, here's what we're going to do.
Because that's trust. That's the idea that,
yes,
okay, cool.
Right.
I like also in volleyball, it seems like it's in a way like a lot of sports have this, but there's no real duplicates in terms of positions. It's the idea that everyone has their own thing.
Right, yeah.
And that's very rare, I would say, in sports. Most of the time you'll have like one or two positions that have no duplicates. Like in football, you have the quarterback. You don't have multiple quarterbacks.
Well, and they kind of have that in this, where there will be like the corner spikers or things like that.
But they perform different roles.
Right. Well, and they probably do in other sports too. We just don't know as much about it.
Well, I do kind of know a little bit about it. It's the idea that in other sports that are more like this, I would say soccer is kind of like this in the fact that there's a lot of passing and prep time before you actually do the goal, and there's a lot of times where the ball is just being interacted with on one team. It's way different, I understand. But in other sports, I can see that there's actually less complexity in them sometimes because the roles aren't as clearly defined. It is there, but the idea is that it's based around your positioning, not necessarily your role. So
gotcha. In baseball, everyone basically has to like catch the ball and throw the people out.
Right. Baseball's not a great example, but I would say like some of the bigger sports. Basketball, I think, actually has a little bit of complexity, but it's dumbed down a bit to be more of just a point fest where everyone's just kind of doing their score or what have you. But I don't know. I'm growing to love volleyball now because of this show.
Which is weird because it's just like I am too.
Right.
But I've never played volleyball. I might have like tried to play once or twice in my life. That's it.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm getting so interested in a sport
that
I've never actually
played
just from seeing fictional characters play the sport.
Yes. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
It's so cool.
I don't quite understand how that works. Like I do,
but
I
works.
don't. But it works.
So with having this point in the show basically gotten up to where we are now basically them prepping before the actual season starts.
Right.
Do they treat all the games in the season with kind of this level of care and I would say time spent for it?
I would say pretty close, but the way I would say I don't think it will be like that is that they spent a lot of time building up this game.
Sure.
Not just the actual game itself.
Absolutely.
As far as the amount of time spent on the actual game, I think most games will be around this much, maybe a little bit less, you know, for some of them.
Unless it's like a way more important game.
Right. Unless it's a way more important game, then they might spend 3 episodes on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But because the amount of time they spent on this game, I think, was actually a really good amount.
I agree.
Especially since it only went 2 sets. Like, they didn't spend too much time on it.
Sure.
And, like, there was plenty of time in the previous episode before the match started to, like, you know, set everything up.
Yes,
and there was plenty of time after the match in this episode for that amazing comedy and showing them
good conversations
what they
and
learned
interactions.
Yes.
Okay.
So I hope it continues like this.
I hope so too. One of the things that I noticed in particular was they've never had a problem with the games that we've shown thus far. None of them have shown any signs of being repetitive. One of the things that I'm worried about anytime I would think about watching a sports anime is particularly with the games, like the kind of the bits there. It's the idea that the characters on the other team would end up all starting to feel kind of gimmicky and like caricatures. But I am impressed with how like unique they made these characters, and I'm wondering like, can they really afford to do that? Because like it's so good that these characters actually I want them to come back, but we don't necessarily know if they'll actually play them again.
I think they most certainly will play them again.
I know, like Nekoma, but I mean,
right. For the other teams in
games,
general, I would say yes. It won't necessarily be like that for all of them, but you absolutely can do it.
Okay.
In the one sports anime I've seen, Haikyuu, that was one of the things that they made sure to do. And even if the games they actually had a problem in that show, I think, of the games getting a little bit repetitive, but they still made the characters feel unique, so that they still felt like real games. And I think with something like Haikyuu, they'll be able to handle that just fine.
They'll do both right.
Even though they did kind of go the easy route for this game by making all of the characters be parallels or most all of the characters be parallels
most
of the
them.
Karasuno team.
Yeah, I think that there wasn't really a true parallel to Daichi, even with Kuro.
Right.
Like, he wasn't really a true parallel. I think Kenma has no true parallel, even though Kageyama and him had the role similarity and that they were the genius on each team.
Yeah. I would say he was the reverse parallel on Hinata.
Yes, exactly.
He was showing the exact opposite.
Yes. And those kinds of bits are interesting because when you think about storytelling in general, when you have a cast of main characters, one of the clever ways you can show dynamic development and interactions between your main characters and the other people in the story is you bring in people that have aspects of their personality that are completely foreign to the main cast, and they have to go, whoa, wait, like,
because
what is this strange cat, you know?
It's a way of, even if the characters aren't like opposed to each other in some way, it's a way to show conflict just because of how different they are.
Right.
So then it causes them to
just communication barrier of some kind.
The contrast brings out more of the other person, like in that personality that's so completely different and perpendicular to this other person.
Yes, which is why that interaction with Kenma and Hinata last episode was just so good. But the fact that it carried over this time and they had that, it was mostly just Hinata telling him, I'm going to make you feel something at the end of this game.
And him just sort of being like, okay,
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
But that aspect there shows the little bit of the effect of Hinata's personality on not just his team, but on the teams he plays against.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why doing something like this, where you're setting up the characters in parallel or in contrast with each other, can be so good, because then that makes it easier to see the ways that they develop.
Yep. So, it's good stuff. Haikyuu is fantastic.
Yes.
Love this show. And if you want to watch the next episode of our Haikyuu discussions right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. Get on early access, and it gives you access also to our Discord, where you can chat with us about storytelling or what have you. And we'll see you all there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.